It's a holistic capitalism. People, profit, planet of equal proportion and equal importance, with an overarching culture of caring and sharing. We have to care and share to create wealth and to create infinite wealth. It has to happen. There's no other way around that. And I know this, I argue with economists all over the world when we sit and have dinner, when there's no one else listening, they say, Dave, tell us about this caring and sharing. Let's tell us some stories to see if it works. So I'll very quickly tell you a story, just to prove it to you. Here's a quick one. Actually, let's quickly cover off on here. What did Jesus do? Many years ago, when I figured out the answer, I wanted to know, what is Jesus doing in the marketplace? Okay, so this is not Christianese, this is not churchy stuff. What did Jesus, the Jewish guy, physically do on the ground? And when I looked at that, I watched what he did, and suddenly I realized that this guy, that Jesus, was born into first century Palestine that was riddled with corruption, riddled with greed and self-centeredness. 95% of the Jewish population were feudalized to the crooked temple priests. Okay? They were starving, they were trafficking their kids. The place was an absolute basket case. Jesus was born into that economy. And he took a look around and then formed a strategy to fix it. He went after the root cause of the whole lot. And the first thing he did was take on the priests and the Sadducees, the Pharisees, the lawyers, the leaders, the civilian leaders, and so on. Repent, you vipers. Change your ways. You're fleecing your people. It's going to implode. You can't keep doing this. It did implode 35 years later, right? But at that point, he's trying to avoid that. So these guys would not change their ways because they had too much to lose. They were too greedy. So then he set about destroying the revenue streams to the center of corruption, which was the temple, the church. Okay? And he said, okay, right, from here on, let's get the tax collectors converted. They were the conduit for the revenue. So he gets Levi and converts him into Matthew. Over 100 tax collectors were converted that night. They went and had dinner together. That means they were of one accord in ancient times. It was a massive restriction on the revenues to the temple. So the priests are looking at what's going on. Then he starts healing people for free. The temple charging 10 times as much as they should. And he says, go and show those priests what I did. Then he's forgiving them for free. Then he's feeding thousands of them for free. I'm not saying we must do stuff for free, but he's teaching us caring and sharing and a strategy to go after the root cause of the problem. And then ultimately he goes into the temple and trashes the money changers. He's ripping everybody off, trashes the people who are selling the animals, ripping everybody off. And ultimately the final sacrifice, where you have the resurrection, or the crucifixion and the resurrection, which tore the veil in the temple, which ultimately broke the power of the priests, and there was no more sacrificing, and people could bypass the corruption and go straight to the Father. So that's what Jesus taught us on the ground. With all the other frills and bells and whistles that you might want to add and moral stories, that's actually what he taught us. So if we apply that in the modern marketplace, you will see that it works. And here's a very quick